Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time as well as some modern releases I have recently finished. And today I want to talk about my favorite Vita games of all time. Now the PlayStation Vita is a very important console for me specifically, and I think it is one of, if not my favorite video game consoles ever. So I had to do a top 15 for this one because it was so impactful, because I love the console so much. I didn't want to leave out any of the experiences that I had. So with that out of the way, let's get into the list with number 15, which is going to be The Darkest Dungeon. This game was so intriguing to me. I just had to try it out when it launched. It ended up being like discounted on PlayStation Plus, and so I was like, okay, here we go. I'm gonna try this out. I had a really rewarding experience. I actually never beat Darkest Dungeon, but it was so much fun. I had to talk about it here. It's a game where it's an RPG where you can recruit people from the town that you're in to go on these little quests, and people can die, and when they die, they are gone forever. So you have to really take care of your party. You have to take care of them in a variety of ways, not just keeping their health up, you also keep their stress down. Because if they get too stressed out over time, they have adverse side effects that affect them for the battle and for future battles as well, which is a really intriguing mechanic. Having stress as a mechanic is so baffling and weird and cool at the same time. They implemented it very, very well. I love Darkest Dungeon. It's very difficult, it's very punishing, and it's one of those games that is just so much fun. So it's going to be number 15 on the list. Number 14 is going to be Hotline Miami. This is a top-down, like beat 'em up style game. It's very, very punishing as well. It's very difficult. You have one hit and you're gonzo. So you are going in, it's super ultraviolet. You go into these rooms and you are beating people with bats. You're shooting them with guns. You have to do everything on the fly. You have to be picking up new weapons on the fly. You have to make sure that you're managing your spacing, because if you get hit again, like if you get hit one time, you're dead, and you have to take out your enemies as fast as possible. Some of them have more range than you, so you have to really abuse your movement and everything. It's a really fun game. Again, ultra violent, very mature, but it's very fun if you have the stomach for it. So that's going to be number 14. Number 13 is going to be Guacamelee from Drinkbox. This game is absolutely phenomenal. One of the best Metroidvanias for sure in the last like decade or two here. The Guacamelee is one of those games that has so much charm. The writing is really, really funny. The gameplay is super satisfying. You have these weird transformations. You go from this big luchador into like a little chicken. It's very funny. The combat is fantastic. Some of the best combat in like a Metroidvania I've ever touched. It's got great traversal mechanics. It's got great just movement mechanics. It has great backtracking. It's one of those games that you want to backtrack and go find everything in the game. You have fun side quests because the characters are so quirky and the writing is so well done. It's a phenomenal game. One of those ones I want to go back and try again because I had so much fun playing this when I first played it. Number 12 is going to be Rayman Origins, one of the best and most brutally difficult platformers I've ever touched. This was a great thing for Rayman to come back. I was so happy to see him make a return because I love the old Rayman games. Rayman Origins was something really, really special. Rayman Legends probably was a little bit better, but Rayman Origins did something so spectacular with the property that I could not help but give it like my overall rating because it was something so new and beautiful for me. It really got me back into platformers in general, but for Rayman especially. I love Rayman Origins and I had a wonderful time with that. Number 11 is going to be Mortal Kombat 9. Now, of all the fighting games that I like work on like handheld up to this point, Mortal Kombat 9 was a really technical marvel. It was really amazing to see them bring this over to the Vita in such a way that it lost some of the visual fidelity from the console releases, sure, but it played so spectacularly. And it looks really good on the screen. They had downgraded a little bit, but the way that they put it on a smaller screen, it looks and plays like a dream. And that's what you want from a fighting game. Looks aside, you want this game to function exactly the way it's intended to. You don't want it to be a drag to play. And this game plays super, super well. This was kind of my game that got me back into fighting games in general, got me back into the genre. And I hadn't played a whole lot of Mortal Kombat games, but I saw these reviews, I thought it looked phenomenal, and it was so much fun. Doing all the side content, beating every single thing in this game was a huge joy. I felt driven to play this game over and over and over again, and I had a beautiful time with it. And with that, let's get into the top 10 here with number 10, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Now, most people say this is a bad Smash clone that has a weird mechanic. I disagree. I think it's really, really fun. In a lot of ways, I think it does stuff better than Smash does. Now, do I think that it's a better game than Smash, something like Smash Ultimate? Maybe not, but it was super fun. The cast of characters was fantastic. You had Nathan Drake, you had Big Daddy from BioShock, you had Kratos, you had Parappa the Rappa. You have all these phenomenal characters like icons of their franchises and little side characters maybe forgot about, like Fat Princess. They're really, really fun to play as. You have a unique mechanic where you build up a special meter. If you build it up to level 1, you can like kill an enemy, like one of your if you're playing like a multiplayer function or you're playing just against computers, use your specialists to kill your people and take away their stocks that way instead of knocking them off a stage like Smash does. So you have to build up your special meter by doing combos, by hitting more, by avoiding getting hit, stuff like that. And you can build up all the way up to level 3 and they get like super special attacks. Some characters are definitely better than others, but it's so much fun. What I really loved was the challenge mode where you could do like individual characters at a time and try and beat certain challenges in a certain set amount of time. It was so much fun. This game had tons of content, great stages. I thought it was super well designed. I would love to see them take another crack at PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale because I think they had a great framework. I think if they did make it more like Smash, it maybe be more appealing to a mainstream audience, but I really liked what they did, and I had a blast with this game, and I played it primarily on the Vita. Number 9 is going to be Undertale. This is a really special game. One of those 10 out of 10 experiences that you don't see very often because it's so unique. This game really did something new with the RPG genre. It was kind of like a spiritual successor to games like Earthbound. It had this beautiful system where you could spare enemies instead of fighting them. And doing that throughout the entirety of the game would get you a different ending than if you played neutral or if you played pure evil. It actually took me about 5-6 years to go back and do a genocide run of this game because I just loved how it ended with the pure like sparing everybody run, the pacify, is that what it's called, whatever the peaceful run is. I really did not want to go back through and hurt this beautiful cast of characters because they are beautiful. They're so fun. Every character, even just the little insignificant enemies, have some kind of charm and life to them, and it's just so beautiful. This game is phenomenal, and I'm so excited for more of the sequel to come out. I'm losing the name all of a sudden, Deltarune. I'm excited for more of those chapters to come out because that game is phenomenal as well, and I just love Undertale. So number 8 is going to be Child of Light. This is a really special RPG. I have never played something quite as beautiful as Child of Light. It has this gorgeous hand-painted aesthetic that you have. You have this beautiful RPG mechanic where you have like a meter on the bottom of the screen, and once your character gets into a certain spot in the meter, you can choose their attack, and once it gets to the end, they do their attack. The animations are brilliant. The way that you get hit, you like stagger backward and drop your sword, you get to stand back up. It's really like a phenomenal combat system. The traversal feels very much like a Metroidvania, but with RPG mechanics for the attacking. It's just a really special experience. I don't know that many people played Child of Light. I know it is on multiple consoles. If you haven't tried this one, this is a really special game. 10 out of 10 experience for sure that you could complete in like 5 hours. This game is phenomenal. I love Child of Light. I loved going back and looking back through because I'm like, oh yeah, it sparked so many memories for me. So that's going to be here on the list. Number 7 is going to be The Walking Dead Season 1. This game ruined me the first time I played it. This is one of those special experiences you don't get very often. This was Telltale at their very finest. This is a very emotional game, heavy on the storytelling and making choices, because the choices you make will ultimately end up getting certain people killed if you do them in the wrong order, if you do things, if you don't make up decisions really quickly. This game is beautiful. You play as Lee, who is a convict. He's about to go to prison, and on the way, the police officer that's taking him runs into a zombie in the middle of the road, and you have to fight for your own life, and you run into this little girl named Clementine who is waiting for her parents to come back. You help her out and become her pseudo father. It's this beautiful, harrowing tale with survival and doing your very best to do things that help keep people alive, but it's hard sometimes. I love how they integrated the choice system. This is Telltale at its finest. If you haven't played The Walking Dead, at least play Season 1, because it's one of those things that will pull on your heartstrings so hard and give you one of the most emotional storytelling stories, I guess, that you will ever experience in video gaming. I love The Walking Dead Season 1. Number 6 is going to be maybe a surprise one, Killzone Mercenary. I didn't play the other Killzone Games, but I really wanted to have a first-person shooter on the Vita, and Call of Duty was awful. Black Ops Declassified was a terrible game nobody liked, so I didn't ever touch that one. But Killzone Mercenary was really, really interesting because it focused on money. I thought, that's a weird mechanic, but getting money is how you upgrade all of your stuff, and getting money requires you killing people. You're a mercenary, you're doing bounties, and it's a really weird system that I didn't think I would like, but it's phenomenal. The way the gameplay works on the Vita, it's a dream. I can't believe they were able to like put a first-person shooter on the Vita with only the 2 triggers on the shoulder buttons. That's one of my only criticisms of the Vita, is that I didn't have 2 shoulder buttons on either side, but it makes a first-person shooter work so cleanly. And the online multiplayer was some of the most fun I ever had playing online multiplayer in a first-person shooter, and that includes stuff like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops 2. So I really enjoyed this game. This was some of the most fun I had on the Vita, and I played this game a ton. I got really good at the online. I had a phenomenal time. So Killzone Mercenary is one of those hidden gems. I don't know if it'd be nearly as much fun today because the online component really isn't a thing anymore, but it was so good at the time. So I have to put it this high on the list. Number 5 is going to be Little Big Planet. Number 5, is that? Yeah, number 5 is going to be Little Big Planet Vita. This game is so beautiful and charming. I love the Little Big Planet franchise, but Little Big Planet Vita is actually my favorite game in the franchise. It takes advantage of the back touchpad on the Vita, which not a whole lot of games did, but it did so in very beautiful and varied ways. The way you interact with the world via the back touchpad is really cool, and the platforming is some of the most solid it's ever been in the entire franchise. Some of the best level design. I think Little Big Planet on the go is exactly where it needs to be. It's just perfect from start to finish. You've got the beautiful handcrafted worlds. You have tight gameplay. You use the back touchpad on the Vita, which is a really cool feature. You have tons of collectibles you can get. This game rocks from start to finish. This is one of those games that I felt compelled to finish fully, and that's a hard thing to do in a Little Big Planet game, but I went for full completion and I had a great time the entire time. So it's going to be here on number 5 on my list. Number 4 is going to be Gravity Rush. This is a really unique game. I think the Vita really had a knack for really unique titles. Gravity Rush is no exception. This is a third-person adventure game where you use gravity as your main mechanic for not only like traversal, but also for combat as well. You take the role of Cat, who's in this crazy fantastical world. You use gravity to like lift yourself in the air and move around. The way you move it on the Vita is actually just phenomenal. I don't know how they implemented it so well, but movement feels so fluid. And this is moving in 3 dimensions and like up in the air. You have to utilize like your movement and utilize your attacks to attack like these big enemies, make sure you're hitting weak spots and positioning yourself well. The positioning is so important in this game. It has a phenomenal story. It's one of the weirdest, quirkiest, and fun experiences you could possibly have. I tried Gravity Rush 2. I had a really good time with it, but it wasn't nearly as charming as it was on the Vita with Gravity Rush 1. This is a really special game for the time. I think it's definitely worth revisiting, especially if you have like a secondhand Vita. If you've gotten one from like a yard sale, they're not super expensive to go buy. If you find it with a copy of Gravity Rush, it is absolutely worth your time. Really special adventure, really fun combat, great traversal, one of the coolest mechanics you'll ever see in a video game. Number 3 is going to be Uncharted Golden Abyss. This game was so spectacular for how good it looked on the Vita. This was proof of concept that they could bring something like Uncharted to a handheld console and do it really, really well. This is maybe the weakest entry, or maybe the second weakest over like the original Uncharted, but that's not saying too much because the franchise itself is so spectacular. This game, it like runs so well on the Vita that if you were just going on like how incredible it is that they're putting this on the Vita, this would easily be the best game in the franchise. It's that spectacular. They transferred it so well. The adventure is there. It's a big, sprawling adventure. Everything you'd expect from an Uncharted game. Big set pieces. The action is really fun. It uses the touchscreen a lot, which I usually worked. I think like 98% of the time it worked. I had like very few of these little memories of a couple of times where the touchscreen controls didn't work the way I wanted to, and I got so mad. I think primarily in like the final battle, but it's so good. The way they implemented touch controls, the way they implemented like shooting and movement in this game, it just flows so smoothly together. And again, the fact that they put an Uncharted game on the Vita is out of this world spectacular. This game is super fun too. I'm actually surprised they never put this on like a compilation like the Nathan Drake collection for the PlayStation 4. I really would have liked to see this game make it onto home consoles just so everyone could experience how fantastic it is. I don't know how logistically how that would work, but I would like more people to be able to play Uncharted Golden Abyss because it's so much fun. Number 2 is going to be Tearaway. This game is so special. If it wasn't for my number 1 here, this would easily be my number 1 over any other game I've talked about today. Tearaway is one of those once in a generation type games. This did end up getting a PlayStation 4 port with some extra content with Tearaway Unfolded, but the best experience you could possibly have is on the Vita. This is the best example of utilizing the back touchpad. In fact, in such a way, you would use the back touchpad, it would show like a finger popping up through the world, like your fingers touching the back touchpad. It's so brilliant and funny, and it just really adds so much charm to this game. The way that you do puzzles, the way you move around the world, utilizes the back touchpad in a beautiful way. This game has this like paper handcrafted aesthetic. It's like origami type stuff. One of the most beautiful worlds I have ever seen. Some of the tightest gameplay. This is like Little Big Planet to the extreme is the best way I can really think about it. The art style itself though is just phenomenal. I went for full platinum on this game and I had the best time of my life. Every time I think about Tearaway, I think about this really special experience I had. It's not just a platformer with beautiful visuals. It's something really special that I can't fully describe. It's something you just have to try out for yourself. I remember finishing this game and wanting to play it over and over again because it's just so special. It's charming, it's beautiful, and it's something so unique, and it really works best on the PlayStation Vita, so it's got to be here at number 2. But my number 1 is going to be Persona 4 Golden. This was the only place to play it handheld for the longest time. It's finally now on modern consoles. It's on Switch, so you can play it there as well. But this game was something truly special. This game launched back on the PlayStation 2. You could play this game in its entirety back there. So this is like an older game for sure. But the way they made it work on the Vita, it's just the best place to play it. Again, maybe with a Switch, you can play it there. It's probably just as good there. But back in the day, this was a really special thing. I had never played the Persona franchise. I didn't know a whole lot about it. All I knew was the highest rated Vita game on the platform. I needed some more games to play, so I'm like, I'll try it out. It took me probably 4 or 5 years to finally finish this game because the mechanics didn't always make sense to me. I didn't understand everything. I would play other games and come back to it, but it kept me coming back over and over and over again. This game really implements the high school, like the feel of going to high school and meeting friends and creating relationships with people, and combines that with some of the best dungeon crawling you've ever experienced in a video game ever. Some of the best characterization in any video game. The way that they meld all these mechanics together, the combat, the turn-based RPG aspects, the dungeon crawling, the high school simulator, and the relationship builder, the way they mold everything together with a really intriguing and captivating story, they have put together something that is absolutely out of this world. Again, this is a game that took me several years to get through, but I just kept coming back because it kept drawing me in. And then by the time I started like finally figuring out how everything worked, I was hooked and I was in it for the long haul. This isn't the most accessible Persona game, easily Persona 5 Royal, but Persona 4 Golden is something truly unique. The story they tell, the way that it's presented, the way it unfolds, the relationships you have with the characters, it's just one of my favorite video games of all time. It's definitely on my top 20. This game is something really, truly special. If you haven't played Persona 4 Golden, definitely go check it out. That's going to be my list. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think. If you had a Vita, or if it's one of your consoles that you own, let me know your favorites down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.